All right. Hopefully, everyone can hear us. I have our chats going right now. The cool thing is, we are now in season 3 of Monday Night Coaching. And since LinkedIn has got rid of audio rooms, we have now transitioned over to audio only live events. And the cool thing is, not just me streaming right now on my LinkedIn, but Jen, are you streaming right now on your LinkedIn as well?
I am.
I love it. And then we're also streaming on YouTube. I've got my YouTube going. What all platforms are you streaming to right now, Jen?
I am also streaming to YouTube.
Okay, nice. So we're kind of all over the place. I do see we have some people tuning in live. So I just want to let you guys know, just because we're live, we're still going to keep that same vibe and feeling of you actively join the conversation. So Jen and I are going to be putting the link where you can join us on stage if you want to add to the conversation, if you want to ask your question live. But so we can know that you're tuning in, whether you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, drop us a comment and let us know that you're tuning in live. You can do live, you can do your name. We will love to give you a shout out. And I see right now we have Dr. Marcia joining us right now. I see we have John. Hi. So, right now, if you're tuning in live, drop a comment so I can give you a shout out. I want to still have that same feeling as our original events. Jen, how are you liking things so far? Like, do you feel like it's still giving that warm feeling of being able to communicate, kind of see who's attending? I know it doesn't let us know unless they comment, but what are your thoughts right now with the new norm of audio events?
Yeah, well, I don't do a lot of audio events, so it's quite a different format here. And I appreciate everything that you've done in terms of sound check and preparing for today, Amalia. And it's great that we can be live in multiple places at the same time. So change can be good.
Absolutely. Now, going back to today's topic, which is hilarious because this is an audio event, I do think this is very important, especially for us audio people that are getting more opportunities because of these events. So, today's topic is confidence on camera. Rock your next live stream, webinar, or interview. And for those that are tuning in, bear with me. I am getting over the flu. So, Jen, you're going to have to, my voice go out. I'm going to hand the mic over to you. I'm going to do my best today. But I feel like
You
this
got this.
topic, I appreciate it. I feel like this topic is meant for me because I am the person that is extremely camera shy. And whenever someone present me with a camera opportunity, I'm just dreading it. So I am really excited to hear all your gems today. But I would love to start things off with you introducing yourself, letting us know who you are, how they can reach out to you. And then while you're introducing yourself, I'm going to make sure I put up your QR code if they want to connect with you live on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Amalia, and welcome those of you who are on the live stream, like John and Dr. Marcia. We're so glad you're here. If you are joining us, make sure to say hi either on YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever you're joining us from. So my name is Jenn Espinosa-Goswami, and if you Google my name, you'll notice I'm on a lot of video appearances on YouTube and other places, but I don't do a lot of audio events. So this is me getting outside of my typical when it comes to showing up on social media. So I appreciate that. I've been an international speaker since about 2009 or so, give or take a year or two. And I currently help coaches, consultants, and mostly service-based entrepreneurs find their next profitable stage. So I don't just help you with your presentation skills and clarifying your signature speech. I also help you find the next stage for your message. So I'm super excited to share a little bit about being confident on camera.
I love it. I love it. And for those that are just tuning in and are brand new to me, my name is Amalia Gardner. I specialize in audio events as well as I'm a LinkedIn business coach. I kind of like to merge the two. So if you are looking to grow your business or brand for the new year on LinkedIn or leverage audio events, I'm definitely the person to follow. But I'm going to jump right into some good questions, Jen, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
Awesome. And then right now, I'm just last call. So if you are tuning in live, give us a comment. We'll love to give you a shout out. All right. Well, when it comes to video, and I love to start with your own personal experiences, what was your first experience like being on camera? And how did you overcome any initial nerves that we kind of experience when it comes to these kind of live stream, camera on type of events?
Well, so this is funny that you asked this because I'm kind of coming full circle tonight with you because my very first speaking opportunity of all time was when I was in 6th grade and I presented over the PA system at my elementary school. So I was more than happy to not appear in front of anybody because I was morbidly obese as a child, and appearing in front of people means I was probably being exposed to bullying and things like that. So, I'm so glad you're here, Lori. Thank you for joining us. Lori is an amazing PR consultant. Anyway, the first time I ever presented was audio only. So I feel like today is like a really full circle moment for me. But I've been on camera so many times now, I have to think back. What was it like that very first time? And I always think about the rise of virtual presenting, which was really, key to a lot of my pandemic speaking. I was on camera before that because when you're on social media, you play around with different ways to show up. So I did, Instagram Reels, I did YouTube. I've got a presence on both of those places. Never jumped into TikTok though. I'm not going to be dancing on TikTok or any of those things. I don't even know if people can still use that platform anymore. But I did a lot of on-camera work through virtual presenting during the pandemic. So I was fortunate because I had already been a paid speaker before the pandemic and shelter in place became a reality for many of us. So it was just a natural transition for me to go from live events to presenting on camera. So I didn't feel very nervous about it because I just had to fill a very small 2D screen instead of trying to fill a large event space. So, what I had to do personally, and you can't see me right now, but if you were going to see me, you would see my hands moving a lot. I should be Italian. I'm not Italian, but I talk with my hands. So it was really hard for me to be aware of that in a 2D, virtual environment because it's a lot. It's a lot of noise on camera. So I had to learn to tone that back a little bit. And you'll also notice if you look at one of my videos, I move in and out of the camera. So I lean into the camera quite a bit and I lean out from the camera depending on what I'm presenting and what I'm talking about. In fact, I just did it right now. Maybe you can hear the difference in the audio, maybe you can't, but let me know if you did hear a difference in the audio just now.
So on my end, it just gave a little bit clearer. It's like you're a little closer, but it wasn't too much of a difference.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's part of the rehearsal process I ask my speaker clients to do is listen to themselves on audio before they critique themselves on video. So it's kind of the first stage of that rehearsal process. Listen for what your audience is hearing from you. And that's going to be something I'm going to do after this event as well.
And you know what? It could be just me under the weather. And I didn't notice. So I'm going to ask our audience, could you tell a difference? Give a comment and I'll put it on the screen for us. And again, I appreciate everyone bearing with me as my voice is going in and out due to the flu. But Jen, I love that how you mentioned coming full circle. I feel like a lot of this does take practice and a lot of mental preparedness for it. So, how do you mentally prepare before going live or recording a video?
Okay, so I'm not one of those coaches who will tell you to work on your mindset or to any of those things. And here's why, Amalia. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of catch in my throat as well, so I apologize for that. I'm a big action taker, and I believe that you can act your way into a new way of being. So if you are pausing your finger over the record button or the go live button, and you're still pausing because you're in your mind about it, that's when you know that you should probably take a different step and just press record before you can even think about it. So those of you who are fans of Mel Robbins, the high five habit, or where she just counts down like a rocket ship, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, press record, go live, and then you can't talk yourself out of it. It's not a mindset. When it comes to showing up and doing the thing, it's about just showing up and doing the thing. Now, I know that sounds overly simplistic if you're someone who is perfectionistic and you want things to go a certain way. Things that are live never go the way you plan for them. Even when you do all the preparation and rehearsals, you prepare so that you can adjust as you go. You don't prepare so that everything goes off exactly as you planned. But in terms of some of the ways I prepare myself, I, of course, make sure I know my content inside and out. So if you are ready to go live, do an interview, things like that, you need to have some sort of talking points, at least a few. If the host has not helped you with figuring out some talking points, make sure you come up with your own and introduce them during the course of your conversation. Now, this can be very conversational. It doesn't have to be, talking heads kinds of talking points, but make sure that you have something concrete and valuable that the audience can take away from what you shared. So rehearse, prepare, know what you want to talk about. Another thing that helps me mentally prepare, and you can't see this right now, but every time before I go on camera, I put on lipstick. Sorry, guys. I know this is not applicable to you necessarily, but for women, we all have something that makes us feel more confident as a woman. It could be a red dress, like you see in my profile photo. It could be a shade of lipstick. It could be a statement jewelry piece. For guys, maybe it's a tie or something in your background that just makes you feel excited and energized. Whatever that is for you, either have it in your background, so that's what you're looking at when you're on camera, or put that item on that gives you that little boost of confidence. We all have something in our closets, right, that we can pull out and will change our entire presence. It just takes a small thing. You don't have to go and buy something super expensive, but something that makes you feel your best. That way, at least you can feel happy about that piece that you're wearing.
I notice I'm the same. Whenever I have to go in front of camera, I need to be camera ready. My hair has to be done, my makeup has to be done, and it just makes me feel more confident. I realize like if my hair is not really the way I want it to be, or if I was rushing those last minute, I don't have my makeup to a certain degree that I feel confident, it shifts my whole performance. I don't know. I think
Yes.
it's more of a mental or confidence thing. And what are some things you recommend, like for those moments to where we do have a last minute event or someone reaches out or life happens and we can't really prepare the way we want to? How can we mentally snap out and show up confident when we do not have all our ducks in a row or everything ordered like we want?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It really depends on where your ducks are and if you even know they're in the same room as you. So, for example, you have your talking points that just goes without saying because we just talked about it. But what are your other ducks? And I know some people need to have things just so, like you mentioned, Amalia, you need to be just so in your body, so to speak. So you have your content ready, you have yourself all presented well and feeling confident. There are some other ducks that you can't control. they're flying in the air, they're behind you, there are things that you can't necessarily see, maybe they're making noise at inopportune moments, and that might show up like technology failures or things like that. At the end of the day, nothing is going to go perfectly. So just be understand that it's not about being good or perfect. It's not about whether people like you, but it's about what can you add to the conversation that allows people to experience something that they haven't experienced before. They will understand technology failures. They will understand other things where maybe it didn't go off as well as you like. There was one time, Amalia, I was on a paid virtual presentation and I was not um, created as a co-host of that presentation. So the person who, brought me into the room had to drop the call early. They left the call and I got kicked out of the room. I was the presenter and I suddenly didn't have an audience. So, I took it with a grain of salt. Of course, I got a little nervous. Oh my God, are the people still going to be in the room when I come back? I just went right back into that room, picked myself up where we left off, checked in with the audience to see what they heard last from me, and the show went on. That's always going to be the case. It's just a matter of how you deal with it.
And you know what, Jen? That brings me to my next question because these things happen a lot. And honestly, this is one of the main reasons I kind of steered away from hosting events live on camera because of fear of any technical glitches or the camera, or can they see me physically stressing out that there are tech things happening? Because I am not a person that's good at hiding my facial expressions. You will see that something went wrong. So, how do you handle tech issues when you're showing up live on camera?
Well, hopefully there's a technology team. And if there is a technology team or a technology person, you should be on a first name basis with this person and understand exactly what they need from you and be very clear with them what you're providing as part of that interaction. So, for example, if you're speaking on TV, there are people who handle different roles within being on TV. And it's a well-oiled machine usually by the time you get into it. So your job as a guest is to make sure you understand how that machine works and what your part of the machinery looks like. If there's no team, now that's the thing. If there's no team, that's when you test, right? You test, you rehearse, you double check and make sure you understand how the technology works. And, here's where YouTube is your best friend. Who hasn't gone to YouTube and tried to figure out how to troubleshoot an issue? YouTube is our friend. It's there for a reason. Shout out to my folks who are live with me on YouTube. But you can certainly troubleshoot anything, but test it before you go live. There's only so much you can do. For example, sometimes I'll test something on one platform, but if I'm using a client's proprietary platform, the test won't look the same as my client's platform. And there's not much I can do about that except make sure I have everything lined up that I need and adjust as I enter the room. So, depending on what room you're getting into and what the technology team looks like or doesn't look like, hold full responsibility for your role within the technology piece.
Now, we do have someone live with us behind stage. I'm going to bring him up with us. We have Brian. I'm going to change our view too so we can see Jen as she give us all of our gems. And Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear us? Can you unmute?
I sure can hear you guys. Yeah, I use I've been using Restream over the last few weeks myself, although I I use it for my own shows and doing video for my podcast slash live video shows. But I know that in the spirit of you being the audio queen, I will keep it on my profile photo there for you. So, um, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I I literally just got here, so I figured while I have a few moments before I'm waiting for dinner that I would stop by and say hi. Um, and answer any question on topic that you might have.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, and I would like to ask you, how do you show up on camera? Are you mostly audio events, or do you actually do live stream where the camera's on? And what are some ways you overcome that initial fear or insecurities? And what helps you show up confidently on camera?
Sure. Um, so uh, it's kind of hard to say whether I do more audio or live stream. I know for myself, with what I host, I use video, but for uh, joining other people, um, I mostly use audio, um, just because it's a little easier and easier to contribute throughout the day. Uh, but but I will say too that I sometimes have other activities going on, and the amount of audio spaces has decreased quite a bit. Um, as far as what has given me the confidence to do all this stuff, well, next week marks my 4-year Clubhouse anniversary, and Clubhouse was really what gave me the confidence to do video postings, and I don't mean like just stories, because prior to Clubhouse I would sometimes use video just for stories on Instagram, but I started doing it for video postings as a result of audio spaces that talked about reels. So um, and I just found that for me, with hosting on what's now known as Noom Vibe, um, doing audio spaces just wasn't the same for me with connecting with an audience. So that's why I um, went to video, and I had done that on another platform before I started doing it on YouTube. Um, and now I'm doing YouTube and LinkedIn simultaneously through Restream. So LinkedIn audio going away opened up this new avenue for me with Restream, and it was easy for me to sign up. Um, so that so hopefully that answers your questions.
No, I appreciate your response. And I do have to agree. Restream is making things so easy to just be visible in multiple locations. And it's so user friendly, in my opinion. Jen, did you want to ask Brian a question or chime in to what he was mentioning?
Well, first of all, I did a few interviews on Clubhouse, although I didn't host any of my own Clubhouse rooms or anything like that. The thing I loved about when I was prepping for that was when they said, "Oh, you need to finish your comments with 'I am done talking now.'" So I thought that was very amusing. Brian, thank you for sharing. Thank you for being on the stage with us tonight. Obviously, you have a lot of experience when it comes to audio events. I think one of the questions that comes up for me is, why not audio and video, since you're doing the audio anyway?
Um, well, I think I mean, and I don't know how I don't know how people who do podcasting on video translate it to audio only when they post their podcasts to Apple or Spotify. Uh, I mean, for me, I do work a regular job, so uh, so that's part of it. Just the time commitment to really settling down and learning everything with how to uh, transport all of that to the different platforms. Um, and and so I think that's the main thing. Plus, also, and I think this is my first time meeting you, Jen. Uh, I got to take my time learning things. I do have autism, so I learn a little differently, and a little and a little bit of a slower pace than neurotypicals, but but I can learn. So it is a thought though. So, um, but and yeah, I laughed when you said the whole "I'm done speaking" thing. I remember that. Uh, these days, you don't really have to do that on there, but um, you know, those are my thoughts.
So I would love to give a suggestion too, because I am one of the many that has the day job and this as well in the evening. So one thing I found to be extremely easy for me, and that was Zoom. I know some people may disagree with me, but I love the fact that Zoom allows you to download just the audio version. So if you were to host an event, and of course, we love Restream. I'm kind of gravitating to more of Restream events versus Zoom. But for me, Brian, it's easy. It's not as much as a learning curve. Once you do your event, since it's video, you can just go into your Zoom recording, download the audio only, and upload it to your host site. You're done. And for me, that was probably the most simplest two-step process that worked the best for me, trying to balance my time and not having to learn a bunch of tech in the process.
And bonus, Zoom also allows you to do the video as well. So you could publish it in multiple places. Most of the podcast guest interviews I've done, I would say 50% of them at least, are using Zoom for the audio. I mean, some use Riverside or other platforms for the audio podcast, but yeah, many people use Zoom.
Interesting to know. Um, I mean, I've never I've never paid for a Zoom account. Um, so, that's kind of new to me. But thank you so much for your feedback.
Of course. And I saw Sean. Hi, Sean. He posts that I think he does his through a RSS that pushes to Apple and Amazon Music. Okay. Jen, have you heard of this before? I know you do a few. You do podcasting, right, Jen?
So I'm always the guest, never the host. But yes, I've been on other people's
Okay.
platforms many times.
All right. So I'm gonna highlighting some of these comments. And Brian, we appreciate you. And then Jen, I can go back and put you on a hot seat if you're ready.
My behind is burning, Amalia. Let's go.
I see Christy's in the audience too from Florida. Hi. All right. You are now back in the hot seat. And I have a question for you because I think this is important. I really want to know this because I always think I am showing up in the worst ways, overthinking it. So I'm going to ask you, as our expert, what are the worst ways to show up on camera?
Oh, I've got some juicy ones for this one, Amalia. And I've experienced this when I've showed up on camera. So let's distinguish the different ways you can show up on camera. So live stream is very different from like a private one-to-one virtual meeting with someone or a recording that's going to be edited and changed up, right? So paying attention to the different ways you can show up on camera. I have had other people on camera who have the spinning ceiling fan behind them. I have seen other people facing their window, which means the source of light is not, or their window is behind them, which means their face is blacked out. You can't see any of their face because of the shadows. I've seen people literally putting on their makeup as they're doing the camera appearance. And I get it. TikTok, Instagram Reels, it's kind of a thing to put on your makeup as you're talking through some points for some people, especially influencers and things like that. let's distinguish between presenting on camera confidently versus being an influencer. So influencers are creating a content. Their job is to beat the algorithm, to get numbers, to maybe satisfy their ad sponsors and things like that. That's a little bit different from presenting on camera because you're sharing something educational or something of value. And I have been paid in the past to present educational content on a platform called Tangi, which no longer exists. But you have to make sure that there's no visual distractions in your background. So one of the ways I up leveled on camera was I purchased a physical background. Now I know some people will do the virtual background, but here's the problem with that. When you move your head, so I mentioned earlier, right? I move a lot when I talk. When you move your head and you don't have a proper green screen behind you, you lose parts of your body. Like your face will disappear, your ear will go away. If you're trying to show something to the camera, nobody's going to be able to see it. And that's frustrating for everyone. So the way you can have a better background that's less distracting, and shouldn't be a virtual one, have something physical in the background, something neutral tone. And this is a tip for my people who show up on live stages. Whatever outfit you're wearing should contrast with the background so that you pop. So looking at my profile photo, my background is very similar to my profile photo here. It's a white background and I have my branding there as well as some flowers and some other things of interest. But the color I wear when I'm showing up on camera is in contrast to that neutral background. This is something, if you have a darker background with like those low lights behind you, or the mood lights, those LED strips, you want to make sure you're wearing a lighter color so that you pop. I've seen people have a black background with purple lights and they're wearing a black outfit. It kind of looks like they're a floating head. So when you're paying attention to your visual presence on camera, that's something that you don't get with audio, right? And that's what makes audio easier. But pay attention to what people are seeing in your background. And yeah, if you have cameos from people in your family, from pets, I see a lot of cats walking across the camera view with their tail up and things like that. We've seen it all, folks, right? Like real life happens, and that's part of the human element of showing up on camera. Those things might happen. That won't necessarily detract from your overall presence and visual experience.
So you're telling us the gray background with the random dog hopping and the cat is not ideal?
I've had people apologize for their pet like barking because the mailman was showing up or something. You don't need to apologize for what shows up in your background. We all have seen the video of the CNN correspondent whose kid walks in and the mom comes chasing after them. Live TV, these kinds of things can happen. Just roll with it and don't get too bent out of shape.
So, I think we have a live demonstration because I see Sean just joined us and he has his camera on. So now let's see, Sean, if we have the let's see what's in the background. Okay. So is that like your main thing set up? We're gonna continue. I see the green screen.
And like Jen was saying, I said that right, Jen? Yes, Jen.
Yes.
I have always disliked virtual backgrounds because, like she said, people move. I have a green cup, so when I put it in front of my face, I disappeared. It was like a magical cup. For Zoom rooms, it was fine. When I wanted to do video presentations, like for my podcast, I tried to do like virtual backgrounds, which really taxed the machine. So I just did something really simple, just gave a nice neutral background because I don't have the cool bookshelves and things that I see other people or the cool lights, and added a simple ring light up there to give me more balanced lighting because typical overhead lights stinks. So I would say if you're going to go on camera, $20 light, add it on a pole, and at least to give you the fill light would be improved. And these are just some curtains that I just hung on the wall. Super easy, super cheap. And it also provides a bit more sound dampening, so that was a plus. But as far as posting, I post on Creators for Spotify with the video, and I also separately upload to YouTube because I haven't found the way to get one place where I upload a video and it sends it out. But the audio only goes to any of the other platforms I have connected. Right now I have Amazon Music and Apple. And yeah, and that's it. But you can do Stitcher, you can do iHeartRadio, you can do all of that if you are doing a podcast. And you don't have to create 2 copies. Just record the video, upload it to your video host like Spotify, and connect your RSS to the audio only platforms. You're golden.
Now, Sean, question. Was the color of your wall intentional for your videos, or you just so happen to have a green room?
It just so happens that the house I rented, the child that lived in this room loved green.
Okay.
Everything is green. And I hated it as just a neutral background, which is why on Zoom calls I often did the virtual. But I don't like the virtual. It looks terrible to me. People disappear, your ear gets cut off. It looks very unnatural. I even have AI tool that will fix eye contact, but I work very focused to work on my eye contact on the
What
camera.
what is that AI tool? Because I know a lot of us that are audio only people that are fearful of the camera, and one of the biggest reasons is the eye contact piece of things. What is it? What is the tools? How do we
I'm
use it? Is it
and
one
I tried a
simple?
lot of different tools, some that would let you do some free try runs. The one I settled on was Descript because it just has so many features. It's $24 a month if you pay for the year. It includes, you can edit videos like editing a text document. So you can click a button, it removes filler words. You can go through the text transcript, delete words, and it'll automatically clip the video. It does studio sound because I live in a cement house, so the room can be very echoey, and I have a problem with mic buzz on my USB mic right now, which is annoying. So it has a studio. You flip a switch, set the setting, and it makes it sound like I'm in a podcast studio. It's really nice. And it also includes a virtual recording studio called Squadcast, all for the same fee. So you can record in Squadcast, get up to 10 people in there for your interviews. It gives you video, WAV, and MP3 files to download. It will transfer automatically to Descript for any editing you want to do, any post-production. It's amazing.
So I just showcased a question. I'm going to ask both Sean and Jen this. How do you fix glare on your glasses? I have glasses too. So I would love the answer to this. How do you guys fix your glare from your glasses?
For me, I originally had the ring light where you would expect to see it because it's a ring light that has the bracket for the phone or whatever. And I was always trying to adjust my head to get the angle right so that I didn't get the circles in my glasses like that. But by putting it off to the side and up above me, coming down on me instead of right in front of my face.
Okay.
And the other thing is your eye position in relation to the camera. So if you're a little higher or at the same level as the camera, it definitely helps reduce it.
That's good advice. I realized mine because I have the ring light because I'm on a desk, and I feel like it turns me yellow every time. I have to fix that. If you watch any of my videos, I am always yellow because my ring light is like a yellow tint. So rather than it just giving me the actual brightness I need to see me clearly, it turns me into, I should say, a minion because I'm yellow on camera. So, Jen, I would love to know how you fix your glare, and then how can we adjust the lighting appropriately so we're not turning a different color, but it's giving us the appropriate lighting that we need. Now everyone's gonna call me a minion now.
Well, it looks like Sean's got it figured out, and the advice he just gave was exactly on point. I have a desktop ring light, and my ring light has 3 different shades. It has a bluer one, it has a more yellow, warm one, and it has more of a white. So I adjust the different shades just depending on what kind of vibe I'm looking for. Because I have a white neutral background, it doesn't reflect off of the background too much. So I just choose whatever looks good for the vibe. It depends on as well if I'm on an interview or something, if the other person, what kind of color scheme they're doing. I have a daughter who's into color theory, so I like to make sure things are look good together. But Michael was right too about the glasses glare. I've been wearing glasses for my whole life pretty much. Make sure the height of your camera and the height of the ring light are different. If you're using a ring light, the ring light should be much higher than the height of your camera. And yes, you can play around with different angles. So again, I move a lot. If I'm moving my head to and fro, I will make sure that my ring light is at the setting that if I'm going to be moving the way I typically do, most likely you're not going to get that glare. So sometimes I do have to tip my chin down. Sometimes I have to pay attention to the angles of where I'm going and how I'm moving. And that's okay too. You can use that to your advantage. You can go off camera, you can do other things, which creates more visual interest. So don't be afraid to play around with it, even as you're in the moment.
I love it. And well, hopefully we answered your question for you. I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Is it Ayana? Let me know in the comments if I said that right. And I did see we have Annie. Hi, Annie. Thank you for joining us. We have Brenda Miller. We have Margaret. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Now, what is your favorite method of streaming? Like, what is your favorite color? What is your favorite, like, what is your go-to to really feel like, hey, this is going to be an amazing event? Do you have a certain color, Sean, that you wear? I like to wear black and yellow, hands down. If I have on black and yellow, I feel like I'm going to kill it. Jen, you mentioned, did you have a certain color too?
Yeah, I wear red or shades of red or purple. Those are the colors that make me feel like a boss. So those are my favorites.
Do you have a
Well,
certain color, Sean?
well, and it's funny you asked this because here I am wearing black, and my son, during our nonviolent communication book study, he's like, "No, Dad, you look good in black." So black is a good color for me with my royal purple. Because I, like Jen was saying, with her daughter, I look into the color psychology. I think the black looks good for me because of there's not much black up top, so it gives some sophistication. I look like Clint Eastwood or something. I don't know.
All right. Well, are there any questions while I have Sean with us on stage before putting Jen back in the hot seat? If you guys have any questions for Sean, feel free to put those in the comments. Sean or Jen, right now, I'm going to go ahead and put our little ticker in. I've been having fun with some of these features right now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. If not, Sean, I'm going to go ahead and put Jen back in the hot seat if that's okay. You're more than welcome. Would you like to stay on stage with
Sure, I
us?
can stay on stage.
All right, Jen, I am moving you back to the hot seat.
By the way, shout out to Sean for being confident on camera with us tonight. Woohoo!
I feel like it was all of the advice. No, I feel like Sean is just amazing anyway.
True.
Now, I might need a little more pushing, Jen, a little more. I didn't do the makeup that we talked about that could make me feel confident on camera. With getting over the flu, I feel like this is why I like audio events, so I can show up straight off the flu and, and stay consistent. I feel like if I had to be on camera, I probably would not be as consistent as I am right now. All right.
Interesting.
I know. I wonder if there's anyone else that feels that way, that you are more consistent with audio events versus live video. I'm
Well,
curious. Let me know in the
yeah, I'd be
comments.
curious to hear that too, because I used to do car videos when I was in the school pickup line waiting to pick up my child from school. It was as spontaneous as it got, and I had people looking at me from the the other cars and the kids at the playground looking at me like, "What is that crazy lady doing?" The best natural lighting ever is in your car. I'm just putting it out there.
You know, I have the best selfies, or like when I need to have certain photos for content. Yes, the car does have the best lighting. You have to be in the driver's seat with the sun glaring at a certain angle. But no, I agree. I agree. Now, this is a big one. So I want to put you back in a hot seat because I have a question for you. How do you choose the right information to share when you only have like a little bit of time when you're going live?
It's like choosing from the stars, right? Because we have so much amazing things that we want to share. And how do you choose a favorite? Or perhaps it's like choosing a favorite child, right? You can never do that, or a favorite pet. It's really hard to do that, especially if you're a passionate person, have maybe more than one business or more than one thing that you'd like to talk about. So that's part of the work I do with clients, is to edit yourself down to a single signature talk. And so when you're creating that signature talk, you have certain touch points and takeaways that you talk about through the creation of that signature talk. That is going to be your consistent message over and over and over again. I just delivered a presentation the other day. I'm going to do another one tomorrow. I've been delivering this presentation for almost 8 years by now. It is basically the same content I've been training for years and years and years. I do customize it based on the audience that's showing up, and I do create multiple times for people to engage with me. But I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about. The audience knows that they're going to receive a consistent experience no matter what date they hear me deliver that content. So that's what you need to decide for yourself when you're going on camera. Again, it's not about the content creation where it's all about trends and being popular and seizing upon what's coming up and what people are really excited about. It's not about that. It's about consistency and repeating a message that you're really passionate about and can help people change their lives for the better. So when it comes to that right information, you probably have all of the pieces you need right now. It's just a matter of refining it down to a few key elements that you could talk about forever and ever and never get bored of it, because people will keep asking for those key pieces from you.
Absolutely. And no, I saw that we had Brenda Miller in the audience. I think we both did the shift event together. Is I believe so. I think you did
Yeah,
Brenda's
it's one
shift
of the
event.
best events ever.
Yes, and that was her shift events was the first time I had to really like, okay, how do I fit all of this great information in 15 minutes? So you are spot on as far as coming up with the right information. And do you ever practice? Because coming up with it and staying on cue, or hitting that time mark too is a hard thing. How would you suggest people get that right? Do you prefer practicing, timing oneself? What would be your suggestion?
Girl, I'm an expert on time management. Here's how it shows up sometimes. So if you're delivering a 60-minute talk and suddenly you have to break it down to a 10-minute talk, there are segments to your talk. There's an introduction, there's a conclusion, there's transitions in between the main talking points. Each of those sections of your talk has a time that you want to deliver it in to finish on time. Now, shout out to anyone who's been in Toastmasters. You have 5 to 7 minutes to deliver any presentation in Toastmasters. So I came from the Toastmasters world where brevity was super critical. And then I had to suddenly expand into a 60 or 90-minute talk. What you know about the format and the sections of your talk, you might think of them as like segments on an ant. Like there's 3 segments, right? You know that each segment is going to be approximately 15 to 20 minutes if you're delivering a 60-minute presentation. Once you know that, you have your you have your upper limits on how much time you have to deliver that content. Now, if you're a pro at engaging your audience, then you definitely want to make sure that you include additional time for those points of engagement. Now, some engagement doesn't require time, like if you're asking people to raise their hand, stomp their feet, talk to their neighbor, those things may not take as much time as doing like a breakout interactive session that could take up to 5 to 10 minutes. But understanding that there's key points within your talk where you're going to stop, transition, and allow people to process on to the next thing. And knowing that, yes, you absolutely have to rehearse. If you've rehearsed 50 times before a single presentation, you probably haven't rehearsed enough. And by rehearsal, I don't mean you sit there with your slides and you like walk through your script. That's not what I mean by rehearsal. None of my clients memorize anything they're speaking on. What they do is they internalize the segments of their talk, and that allows them to be flexible to the audience needs when they show up. My clients really pride themselves on reading the energy in the room, and that's something that you can't teach. You kind of have to just do it and understand how to do it. But you can learn how to be better at it with each talk you deliver. So yes, we absolutely rehearse. We know how much time it takes for each segment of your presentation. That way, if you're in the middle of a 10-minute presentation like I was, and suddenly your host shows up in the chat and says, Jen, you got to end in the next 30 seconds. I was able to do it because I knew exactly where I was in my talk, and I knew what to leave out of that talk and still finish my conclusion. So I didn't leave the audience hanging. I didn't do that thing where we say, oh, I'm out of time now. Back to you. That's the biggest disappointment for the audience if that's how you end, or if you end with something like, thank you. That's not really the best way to conclude. So make sure that you give the proper attention to your conclusion, because that's what people are left with.
I love it. And I saw Sean mention he had a great story to go along with this topic. I'm going to switch him to the hot seat if that's okay, Jen.
Do it.
And I just want to say I appreciate everyone here for bearing with me. I have the flu and my voice is going in and out. So I appreciate you guys just joining me for our first episode of season 3. So thank you so much, everyone. And Sean, the mic is yours.
All right. So as you were like, it came into my mind when you talked about that not feeling ready to go on camera, and I totally get it. You know, with the ladies, you want to get your, you know, you want your hair to be right, the makeup's got to be right. You got your power lipstick or power shadow, whatever. Totally under. I don't have to worry about any of that, thankfully. I just have to worry about if I've shaved enough. But I actually was it last year? Yeah, last year I signed up for the Great American Speak Off. It is actually like American Idol for public speaking. It was run by Grant Cardone, and like the potential was to get on Grant Cardone's 10X stage and speak in front of an audience of thousands. The challenge was compress your story into 1 minute. And if you go over a minute, you're not getting in. So I practiced and practiced and practiced. And like Jen was saying, that was more about the bullet points, like remembering the bullet points that are memory sparkers. And I would practice and practice, and I felt good the morning of the audition. 10 minutes before I'm supposed to go live, anxiety just washes over me. I'm like, what the heck? I don't get this usually. I feel that little butterfly and I use it as like rocket fuel, but this was like crippling. And so what I did is I went off to a room by myself, so I didn't bother my son or my wife, and did two things. One, I played the jam that just gets me energized and motivated, my favorite jam. And I did something I learned from Amy Cuddy on her TED Talk on the power of body language. Did some power poses. You know, it's personal, whatever, you know, you want to look like Superman or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or whoever, somebody, you know, that that you respect and you see them as confident and powerful, and you just take on that body language for a few seconds. And I felt great on the audition. Didn't make it, but I felt good. I learned a lot, but it was shocking how quickly that anxiety just kind of washed over me. And I panicked at first, but I took the steps to just focus, get my energy, get my state back to, I can do this. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to get it done in 1 minute. And then on the topic of compressing information, I do a daily podcast. I post 8 minutes or less every day. So I need to keep on point. So I do have a text guide running for me that does help a lot to stay on point. Bullet points, something, whatever works for you. Initially you might, well, I used a script. Now I use bullet points, and I can just look at my bullet points. One time I had to do a PowerPoint presentation, no notes, no nothing, just a PowerPoint. That was very challenging. So thank you very much for letting me share the stage with Jenn. I will pass it back to her.
Thank you. And that was great insight, Sean. I appreciate it. And you know what? I cannot wait to join you for your podcast. I did see your link within our community, so I'm looking forward to it. Now, do you do it is it like a daily, a certain day?
I publish an episode every day. I will say I took a season break at the end of January. Part of that was to try and get ahead a few episodes so that I'm not like scrambling every night after work to get my podcast episode recorded before it's time to read the story to my son. But yeah, I've been publishing a daily episode since November 1. It was part of a challenge called National Podcasters Posting Month that really kind of ignited my fire, and I decided to keep it going. I'm building an audience, and I've had comments come in that they're really getting a lot out of it. They really appreciate the format, the structure, that it's quick, insightful, and now I'm adding another tool. So the podcast is called Daily Power Boost: Ignite Your Potential, and it's literally meant to be something you can listen to walking to your car. It's not even about your commute to work, because I don't have a commute to work. So I find it hard to listen to longer podcasts. But I'm adding a new level called Beyond the Boost, which is interviews with experts. I just did one that publishes Wednesday about the power of saying no without damaging relationships. And it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more of those. So that's the structure.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. My apologies, everyone. Jenn, I am placing you back in the hot seat. So I just want to say, I just looked at the time. I can't believe we're almost at our hour mark. So I'm going to allow you to end things with any closing remarks, anything that you think people need to know regarding showing up confidently on camera for 2025, and for you to let them know about your bonus. Because as we know, Monday Night Coaching, we love bonuses. So if you want to let us know all those great things, I can put your QR code for your bonus as well.
Well, thank you, Amalia. And thank you, Sean, again, for being on stage with us. It was a pleasure to hear some of your insights and more about your podcast as well. I will say it is much harder to deliver a 1-minute speech, especially as part of a competition. And I'm familiar with Speak Off because I've participated in the past as well through Grant Cardone's platform there. It is an inferno in that competition. So the fact that you were able to get through it despite the anxiety and things that showed up for you was a testament to your willingness to be confident on camera. So thank you for sharing that. I told you a little bit about being prepared and rehearsing. Now, if you're like, wait a minute, I think I know how to do this, but maybe I'm not doing it in the best way, and I have a presentation coming up that I have to manage my time a little bit better, I would encourage you to download the free signature speech template. It walks through the main pieces of your presentation, but it also helps you identify areas of engagement. It helps you identify what is your goal with speaking. If you're just showing up on camera just to try to beat the algorithm, it's not going to be something you're consistent with, and it's not going to be something that you build your following through. So I work with people who want to be consistently on camera, whether that's on stages or behind a microphone. So if that's something you know is in your future, I encourage you to download that template. When you do, you will also receive invitations to my master classes. I help you find your next stage. So that means I walk you through a speaker booking system that I have created and share with my clients that helps you show up on more stages. So if you know stages are the thing for you, and stage means physical, virtual, it doesn't matter. Anything with a microphone and more than one person in the room, then you know stages are the thing for you. I would love to help you through my next masterclass or just through that free signature speech template. Say hi to me if you're not connected with me already on LinkedIn here. And I can't wait to see you on your next stage.
I love it. And I have to show you some of these comments. They're amazing. I love Merle. For those that have been following Monday Night Coaching, Merle has been one of my most valuable members in my community. Sandra, I see her, she's too. And this is hilarious. I don't know where I got the hot seat from, Jen. I just been saying it. It sounded good because I'm switching you guys in the seat, but this is hilarious. So I don't know if it's necessary. The hot seat, what should we call it? Should we give it its own custom name now?
I mean, the hot seat is good, but spotlight could be another option.
Okay, we're gonna give you the spotlight. I love it. And then everyone here, one thing I do love about Restream, Jen and I realized that it lets us know when someone scanned the QR code. So if you are looking to host events and you have certain things that you want to share with individuals, or if you want to connect, it will tell you as they're scanning it so you can kind of maneuver, do certain things for these people. It's so amazing. I am becoming obsessed with Restream. But I just want to click through. We do have, you can see this, Jen, if you want to kind of cheer people on. I see Sandra, everyone's making comments. I thank you. I see Dr. Marcia. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love too, just doing this with the flu. So I appreciate all the great comments and well wishes. But do anyone have any questions regarding the bonus? They love bonuses, Jen. So thank you for
I gotta
providing this
say,
for us.
this is an engaged audience. You folks are on fire. Maybe you all are in the hot seat right now.
My everyone's in the hot seat. I'm just kidding. Now, one thing I can say, we do have something new. We're big on community, and that's one thing I love about the Monday Night Coaching community. Shout out to everyone that's here. I see Lisa. I prefer spotlight. I will make sure moving forward, Lisa, that we will say spotlight. No hot seat unless you're actually getting in the hot seat. So now, Sean, if you would have came up here and you didn't have the appropriate background, just kidding, you would have been on the hot seat. So, cool thing. I actually have both of you with me. You're part of something new that I've started because we're really big on community. And since audio events kind of went away, I wanted to kind of keep that same community vibe. We have something called the Audio Leadership Club, everyone. So, I want to make sure if you are interested in a community that focuses on audio events, podcasting, and collaboration, I am having it open. This is a private community. We usually do a waiting list, but for those that are tuning in live, if you want to join us, if you scan the QR code, you'll have immediate access to join. After the event, it does go back to the waiting list, but I just want to open the doors for you guys. How you guys been liking it so far? Sean, Jen, how you guys like the Audio Leadership Club so far? Yes. Awesome.
I think it's a great club. I like what you're doing in there, Amalia, and I can't wait to see some more folks joining us in there.
Love it. So I'm going to go and put your bonus back on screen. So if you did not have the opportunity to go ahead and scan that, you can. Jen, also too, we're going to post that in all the comment sections. I'm sorry. Oh, I can't even talk. My apologies. Comment sections that it's streaming to. So that's YouTube and all of our LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, if you're following me on
Yes.
LinkedIn, you will see it in my pinned posts or my featured posts. So if you miss it in the comments here, because there's a lot of comments going on, totally okay. Connect with me and I will send it to you.
All right. Well, I'm going to highlight some more comments before closing this out. We do appreciate everyone joining us. I'm really excited. This is our first episode. Now, one thing I love about Monday Night Coaching, we are usually booked out months in advance. So we have back-to-back events scheduled all the way until March. If you are interested in joining me as a speaker, feel free to reach out. I would love to have you. We do have availability starting in March, so this is exciting. And this is recorded and it's live everywhere. And you do get a chance to stream the event, not just from my profiles, but your profile as well for more visibility. So definitely tune in. Sean, I'm putting you officially on the hot seat because you have to schedule with me to join Monday Night Coaching as a speaker now. So start thinking of your topic. I feel like that was appropriate now. That's exactly what the hot seat is now. I'm putting you on the
Now
spot.
it is a hot seat, huh?
I had to
Calling
make
you
sure I
out.
got it
No
right.
more spotlight. It's a hot seat. Called me out live on camera. All right, Amalia, I see how it
It's
is.
it's all love. It's all
I
love.
know. No, I can roll with it.
No, it was so fun, Jen. I'm going to let you close things out for us.
Thank you. Well, thank you for those who are joining live here. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you say hi so I can say hi back. What I'd like to say is, regardless of what your stage looks like or your physical environment for your stage, I will say that there is a stage for each and every one of you who's listening. If you're not sure what that stage looks like quite yet, let's see if we can find that stage for you. And I'd love to be a part of your journey.
I love it. What a great way to close things out. All right, everyone. Well, I'm wishing you a great rest of your Monday. Bye.
Bye.